Yeah, so this is what we do every day. It's a lifestyle for Joshua Van, so running 3-4 miles is nothing. On the regular, we run out in the sun. Sunny D, H-Town heat. He's running fast, real smooth, hitting 3 miles like nothing. And then he trains, and then he does rounds. So he's the beast, that's why he's #1 fearless. On a full day, he gets up to 2 to 3 training sessions. On a good quality training session day. On the lower day, 1 to 2. On the rest day, just 0. But we manage his training schedule since the last camp, so he feels a lot better. He's getting better recovery, quality, smart training. We don't have to overwork like we used to do when we were amateur, when we were trying to get in the ranks of furry and the regional. He already did all the hard work. So God is good, now we're gonna work smart and get blessed. That's how we're gonna do it.
UFC 331's biggest showdown, Joshua Van versus Alexandre Pantoja, is finally happening. Both fighters are in top form, and even analysts are confused about which side to take. Listen to what the experts have to say about this fight.
Joshua Van and Pantoja is finally happening, boys. UFC 331.
Fight of the night.
Get back.
Write the check for him right now. Fight of the night.
Or does Pantoja just take his ass down and submit him?
That's what I'm hoping for, but Van's gotten a lot better. He's good everywhere. He's a dog, and he looks so comfortable in bad positions. So I think it's gonna be a lot tougher than I originally thought. I still see Pantoja getting him down and executing the game plan. Brilliance, just shutting him down, being able to mount him, hurt him, take his back, submit him. That's what I see, but some say I could be biased because I'm from ATT.
Well, he's also done that to some.
Van does do a good job with his butterfly guard and creating space,
Until now, everyone considered Van the favorite. But when the odds were revealed, everyone was left stunned. Listen to this.
Odds, bro.
What are the odds?
Take a guess. So I'm way off. Plus 115 underdog Pantoja.
Wow.
What? Pantoja's the underdog?
He's the underdog.
Really? I had no idea.
People love
crazy.
Van.
That's crazy.
And Van is so good. I love that kid. I love his boxing. I love his stand.
I like him too, man.
But I guess he's because he's been in there more and he's a little bit more.
For the injury, the
ready to
layoff.
go, the injury, the layoff.
Yeah.
But still, Pantoja, the underdog, that's nuts.
I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought Pantoja would have been
The skills
the
that both of these guys bring into the cage, man, like this is a really fun fight.
This is gonna be fight of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
Despite being the champion, Pantoja is the underdog. This number itself shows how unpredictable this fight is. But this is just the beginning. The next breakdown is even more explosive. This isn't just a new matchup. It's actually a rematch. Van had won the title before when Pantoja had to withdraw from the fight due to injury. Now both are facing each other this time in full health.
For UFC 331 from Los Angeles on September 19th, a rematch between Joshua Van and Alexandre Pantoja for the flyweight title will headline the card. Van won the title in December when Pantoja suffered an arm injury just 26 seconds into the fight. Van has defended the title once, a fight of the year contender against Tatsuro Taira in May. Now, here's a look at the rest of the card. The co-main event features lightweight contender Arman Sarukian taking on Mauricio Rufy, and you got former Olympic gold medalist.
But the question is, did Van become champion just by luck, or has he genuinely improved? The answer to this is hidden in his last performance.
I think that gap has closed, Chris, because even though you have to put some respect on the 36-year-old Pantoja's name, he has 4 defenses of that flyweight title he lost in December. Yes, he's 36 coming off an injury, but what Joshua Van has done since then has certainly raised his profile. Van, just 24 years old. That fight against Taira was an absolute war, went into the 5th round before Van made adjustments, rallied back, and scored a devastating finish. What he has showed is incredible poise. And for all the skills advantages that Pantoja, and he also likes to brawl himself, and Van is turning into the fighter you don't want to brawl with from the standpoint of that fighting spirit, the gas tank, and everything he brings to the table. For as good as this fight was on paper the first time around, and as you mentioned, we didn't even get 30 seconds into it before finding things out about how they match up, I think it's even more exciting on paper this time around because what has taken place.
On one side is the champion who has already proven himself. On the other side is the one who has come to reclaim his title. This isn't just a fight, it's the final chapter of an unfinished story. This isn't just a normal rematch. There's bad blood. There's history behind this fight. A content creator broke down this matchup and explained why it's so special.
This isn't the strongest of main events, but I don't mind it as a main event. The flyweight division is always entertaining, and if this ends up being what it should be, which is a 5-round back and forth amazing fight with some hype behind it as well, then I think this is a really good showcase opportunity for the UFC flyweight division. I think it really is. Joshua Van, always exciting. Alexandre Pantoja, always exciting. Bad blood. But when you have a main event like this, I'm just being real.
But the real fun begins when he gives his prediction and also explains the reason behind it.
But I like this main event. It's guaranteed to be a banger. I'm leaning towards Arman Tsarukyan round 2 arm triangle or TKO against Mauricio Huffy. I'm leaning towards Joshua Van late rounds finish against Alexandre Pantoja. I can see it happening via body shots as well. I like Pantoja. He's a very tough fighter, but I think he can be broken down if he doesn't get those moments in fights to chill on the back of his opponent for the last 2 minutes of a round. We just saw Van show amazing takedown defense against Tatsuro Taira, and I was a guy who thought Pantoja would have beaten Van when they first were supposed to fight. Maybe that was still the case. Maybe if that arm injury didn't happen, Pantoja does just outdo Joshua Van in their first outing. But for a young and inexperienced guy like Joshua Van, having that first fight moment, getting the extra months to train afterwards, having the Tatsuro Taira fight, which is an amazing fight against a top contender, coming out on top against him and getting an amazing finish, then having more time to train and more championship experience, that could be the difference compared to Pantoja, who's been dwelling in the shadows, watching on as everyone else has fun with his belt like Ian Gary.
One fighter who has already proven his growth, the other who is desperate for revenge. This isn't just a fight. According to commentators, it could become one of the biggest moments in flyweight division history.
I feel like it's kind of up there in like terms of all-time flyweight bouts, man. I mean, I was thinking about this a little bit, you know, when it got announced. You go back and you remember the kind of history of this division. I think it was 2012 when the UFC rolled it out, somewhere around that time, and it was a 4-man kind of tournament, and it felt almost like a hipster thing. Like the people who really got into the flyweights early on were like these guys who'd been around the UFC, or like, you know, certain media who were like, they wanted to embrace it, but it still felt like it was a novelty to an extent. And it never picked up steam through the Demetrius Johnson. We've talked about all this stuff a long time. It just, for whatever reason, it just wasn't doing anything. Through a historic run, by the way, from Mighty Mouse. But you get to these fights now, and I don't know if it's just the dynamics of this division, man. Maybe it's because of with guys like Joshua Van being so young and dynamic and going out there every fight at this age, 24 years old, it feels like he's going to war, you know, and he's also got a lot of prowess. He's still getting better, but he goes out there ready to die. Like we saw with that Brandon Royval fight that he had, and even his last one with Taira, like those types of fights. But then you get somebody like Pantoja who loses his title unceremoniously. There's still a big asterisk on him. He was moving up, I felt like, you know, into the top 5 space if he wasn't already there, the pound for pound best going, just with his run. There's just, it feels like there's way more magnitude, you know, when you look at the flyweight division these days.
And this fight isn't just about skill, it's also a clash of egos. One fighter believes the other is sitting on his belt after having stolen it.
Yeah, man, and like you mentioned it, like Pantoja this whole time, was he 36 or 37 now? Because he's getting up there. I know he's above 35 years old. And you know when these guys get this, it's almost, there's a saltiness that happens, especially in the fluke nature of what you're talking about. I feel like he sees Van as a guy who's masquerading with his belt right now. And obviously that kind of adds this chippiness to the situation. And then you get Van, who, if you talk to him, man, and there are several fighters in the league now in UFC who kind of have this, and one of them being like Quillen Salkilled, like who's fighting this weekend. Like they just have this sheen of invincibility I always talk about, like when you're younger and you haven't really, you know, suffered too many setbacks, and you just feel like you can conquer the world. He still has that. That's still very much intact. So, you know, his star is still rising, and I think when you put those two things together, coupled with sort of the intangibles, which is that Pantoja is coming back pretty quickly. from this injury. Like when you look at it, what was it in December or November, whatever
Yes.
it was, and it's like 9 months. Like I looked at 9 months later, he's coming back, which could be a tad soon. And sometimes this can be that can be a detriment. But I feel like there's a lot of subtext to it. And the best fights have a lot of that, right? They've got a lot of different question marks with them.
On one side, the fire of youth. On the other, experience and anger. This isn't just a fight for the title. It's a battle of ego, honor, and legacy. When Joshua Vaughn and Alexandre Pantoja face off at UFC 331, the entire MMA world's eyes will be right there.